なくなったかな。それでも緊張せずに入れたんだろうか。こんなにできると思わなかった。期待以上ですね。オリアナの Q とかさ、なんか異常に速く見えるよね。上手い人のオリアナのボールって。俺が使うとすげえ射程短くなるし、ボールが行くのがすんげえ遅く感じる、ね。あとアルティメットの範囲ね。
with Septed Syndra a second time around. Never been a big pick for Kuro. One of the best for Septed. But can they continue to target Septed? Because I know he's a really big Jace player. That was banned in the previous game. Much more Septed focused and helper focused in that particular pick. He's also got that back pocket pick with the Aurelian Soul. Didn't get to see it during the promotion tournament. It's one of the ones we were really excited for. But maybe if it gets back to
ケネンナーフしても結局出てくるっていう、こいつオートアタック結構ナーフされたんだけどな。探検機はスピリットプッシュしたいんですというフリークスからのこの回答ですね。そういえばプロテカ2ブロック保険営業マンがめっちゃ揶揄されてて面白かったな。あ、エリスは。They kind of have to go for the staple bans at the start, otherwise Afrika can kind of bait a scenario where Zac gets through the draft. So you can't really have too much innovation on red side when it comes to respect. If you decided that Elise is a bannable champion, it feels like Kennen and Zac, unless one of them is banned by Afrika Freaks, are must bans on the red side. Power level of that champion, those champions too high. A little bit reminiscent of where we were during the course of the start of spring, where we had the must bans. In that particular scenario, we have quite a few must bans on red side. At least with where the meta is shaking out week 1. Yeah. Lisa and Tom Kench Syndra all taken away by Afrika Freaks. They don't want any of those into the hands of Everett yet again. And Zac will be that final. 未だにザックが OP ということが頭にインプットできていない。Open the rumble in the top lane for Marn if they want to first pick that. The Cannon's not there for the counter pick, and Fizz has been nerfed slightly as of late. So might not be the most advantageous matchup these days. Galio could be taken into it and kind of do okay. Didn't see much Galio in game 1, but it's Marn, so of course he'll be jumping on the Rumble. Rumble is able to push in Galio more reliably, as you can move around the minions to stop the queue from just instant clearing them. It's actually some really interesting kind of games you can do. Stop the minion wave from necessarily being taken out, but Galio's a very safe matchup into it. Definitely see that come through. Probably has to be taken first rotation though. だって MSI の頃と比べてグレイブスとリーシンナーフされてるじゃん。あの時 7.8 だけど 7.9、7.10 でリーシングレイブスがナーフされてますからね。それはまあ力関係は変わります。
Have a bit more lane presence than a lot of the answers, like for example, the Tom Kench, so you can understand why you see it drafted so early. And speaking of early drafts, we're seeing Varus taking over both Caitlyn and Ashe, who are both available in this scenario.
俺今バルスよりザヤの方が強いんじゃないかと思うんだけど、まあでもやっぱアルティメットが違うか。
More utility focused, but a lot of pick potential from both Thresh and Varus onto a single target.
ああ、ジンね。はいはいはいはい。ジンも結構ラピッドファイヤーカノンと活力の先進のシナジーが割とジンにとって効果的な感じがあるので確かにって感じがします。イヌットジャングルは次のパッチじゃない 7.11 ザックは Q が強い。なんか、まあ、基本的に、Q のダメージがエグいのと E とアルティメットのシナジーがやばい。このグラバスジャングルなのかとなのかはまだわかんないな。どっちなの？
Probably going to be Gragas top, Spirit Visage just chilling and pushing against the Rumble. It's one of those reliable choices. Galio and Gragas are kind of the two safest.
ミッドカルマじゃないかな。なんかミッドカルマな気がするんだよな。まあ、ミッドカルマと陣の相性がいいわけではないんだけど、サポートこれ普通にブラウムじゃないのかな。
相手のピック次第では。ルーランバンじゃない？あ、カシオペア。カシオペア。本当に
So it's definitely a possibility to be the blind pick mid laner with Tilia and Syndra and now Cassiopeia off the board. One of these two teams will draft Orianna.
スマイトイグナイト？それはもう、シャコですよ。マジでシャコやんのかな。まあ、ルブラン。あ、ルブランも、ルブランはちょっとセプティッドのチャンピオンプロがわかんねえな。あ、セプティッドカシオペア得意なんだ。
What will Afrika do? Do they want to try to take a jungler off the board? They want to go for that mid lane focus again. Give us 4 bans out on it. 5 with that Syndra coming through.
Kind of run into awkward scenario, especially if you need something pushing, and they will also respect ban Septit's Jace, who again is a really good, strong Jace player.
安定して序盤から強いのがいいですね。
It's not Marant's Jace to be clear, but worth mentioning, like you say. Talked about the Orianna, it's kind of where the draft was being forced and also fits with the comp, so he's going to be hovered by Septid, locked in, so far a pretty textbook draft on the side of Everett.
確かに俺にとってタリアを先に動かってしまうし。ジャングルランブルか。あ、違うのか。なんだガリオどこに置くんだ。ミッドに置くのか。ミッドガリオか。サポートガリオもあるぞ。ただちょっと Q がナーフされたからミッドもサポートもどうなんだろうな。
Start thinking of Ignite junglers like even Shaco in this position, but maybe he's just having a bit of fun.
ランブルジャングルもなくはないけど。あ、違う、オラフだ。どこどこパッキンオールイクソ野郎コンボだけど、陣なので大丈夫なのかっていうと。
To make the Olaf work here, he's definitely going to have to get ahead. Theory behind these team fights almost certainly is going to be Olaf ghosting in, Ragnarocking in, and then Galio being the secondary diver. Regardless of whether it's a support Galio or a mid lane Galio, so it feels like the power level of Olaf is kind of tantamount to
どこに行くんですか、ガリオさん。サポートガリオ。ほんま。あ、ミッドガリオ。まあそのアルティメットレベル6からトップにもボットにもミッドに置けば使えるからね。
If I say it 3 times, doesn't it get summoned? That's the rule, right?
Like Beetlejuice?
Yep, it's just like Beetlejuice.
Alright. Well, we'll be the Galio in the mid lane, Karma and support, so not gonna be
まあちょっとメタがどういうものなのか各チームは把握しきれてないというか、各チームそれぞれのメタへの理解っていうところがあって、それが今ぶつかっている状況ではあるので、それによってわけわからん感じになってるのかな。てか LPL っぽいこのフリークスのピック。陣のところがケイトリンとか Twitch だったら完璧に LPL。
on the side of Afrika Freaks. Yeah, itemization was something a bit concerning from the side of Spirit. They're not having that MR.
マジでゼバンシアカップでミッドガリを何度見たことか。確かにめっちゃ野球っぽいね。
Take us to game number 3 because backs against the wall. Everybody wants to win their first match here in LCK. So let's go ahead, load onto the threat for game number 2.
ガリを普通に短期に行くんじゃない？アビサル買ってさ。
That's a dollar. I mean, that's a verbal contract, by the way, Achilles.
It is.
It's a VOD that will be saved for all time.
You just have to have a PayPal. Already. That's a nice big invade here. So won't quite get that ward. So.
50、51、52、53、54、55、56。57、58、59、10分。あ、ゲーム2にしてない。ゲーム2にしとこう。
Previously, it was all about getting access to the second brush and being able to prep minion waves to get advantage level 2 wise. But now that the meta's kind of changed, it feels like you get more bonuses. Well, Spirit's gone for an interesting chroma.
勝ち込みじゃっていうピックですね、フリークさん。
American frat party Olaf.
クレーマーだけ一人冷静に後ろでアルティメット打つけど、残りの4人は勝ち込みじゃっていうピックなので、ウィナーズはそこをかわせるかどうかですね。ブレイブスがコントローラーで勝ってる。
I know where your mind's going.
It was straight in the gutter, Achilles. Let's be real.
I went to college in America. I know.
Stole
Ah.
a couple of the small raptors.
マーリンが2匹引っ張ったじゃなくて取った。ブレイブスのジャングルが遅れる。
Inside the brush gets on top of Tucson.
We're at 7, by the way, for Doran's shield.
All right, updating my tally. You need to get 9 more.
Oh,
悪いことしてる。
probably need 2 zeros, I guess, then to get that.
マーリンが悪いこ
Otherwise,
と
it's
して
gonna
る。
be too many.
Well,
This is gonna be the most non-interactive
さっき
possible.
yep, there's gonna be no
デウルは
for a while for Kuro.
グラウンドブレードだ
The
った
person
ね。
you can gank for is
ケイドリン
Kuro,
で
and Spirit will need to power farm through
で
his
も
jungle,
普通
so that's gonna
に
be
ドランドシールドでいいと
a
思う
while。
競技シーンだとやっぱリスク低い。リスク嫌うし。あ、ボットガンク。エラ、フラッシュイン、ユナイト、レッツゴー。レッツゴー。フラッシュインだ。
Yeah, flash forward gets a double play coming through. Kramer
フラッ
bottom
シ
the
ュ
heel already.
う
Slowed up the hook, gonna go wide.
ー
Seems like they'll just be
ん
happy with that result. 3 summoner spells.
ここからゴリゴリ体力回復していくのがドランドシールドなんですよね。ってことを考えるとどうなんだろう。ジャングル送れませんか。
Very obviously, given that Marin was stealing away some of his small raptors, and you don't expect there to be a quick gank when you don't have the experience to hit level 3. But the maximum value from that, nice innovative pathing from Marin. Another thing that we have seen from him is these smart pathing decisions.
これ待って、あれ、クラガス、さらにランブライトきつくなるのか。ドランドシールドのせいでこれ、ランブルの体力なかなか減らないのでは。
Nice hook comes through. They lock down Tucson. Root comes through down onto Jewel with a deadly flourish, but still a freak of freaks losing out on these exchanges.
One
もう一回
summoner
ボットガン
down,
クでや
but
っている。
3 overall. Marang in the lane actually.
カウンター
In
か
case Olaf comes in.
Really good game sense here.
面白い陣ポジション取ってるな。
Throws down that
かなりボット重視してますね、ウィナーズ。
Hasn't spotted the Olaf yet. Will at least have vision in the tribe.
エラのスレッシュっていうのは APL でもかなり使われていたと思うけど。
Doran's shield from Helper yet. It might actually be a purchase. It might actually be Doran's ring and 2 Doran's rings and a Doran's shield from Gragas moving away from the triple Doran's just because Rumble's Q continuously reprocs the
グラガスはファース
Doran
ト
shield. So you get
アダプティブヘルム。まあでも普通にドラリン3つか2つ買って。それは何するかだな。まあでもアダプティブヘルム刺さるよね、今回。ランブルのダメージに対しても、ガリオの Q に対しても効くし。するんじゃないかなって感じはしますけど。本来であれば、まあアイスボンガントレットが欲しいところだけど、ちょっと違うしな。またゴリゴリ動きますね、マルラン。ダメージが通らない。マジでさ、スキルレベル一つ分もダメージ落ちたのって相当でかいよな。いやー、今のデウルうま。いやー、うまいなー、今はデウル。よく陣の W 食らったな、わざと。今のマルランのガンクによってヘルパーミニオン相当ロストした。シエサがもう20ついてる。ああ、ここでもトップ。あららら。そうかな、ガリオ勝つんじゃないやっぱ。Q によるハラスとウェーブクリアで降り続けるっていうところもあるし、まあもちろんメレーだからっていうのはあるけど、勝てるんじゃないのかな。でもきついのかな。 いけそうな感じはある。でもメレー VS レンジ上でを考えるともうちょっと、いやーきつそうですね。フラッシュアウト必要だったの。
Shockwave coming through just now gets it. And it relieves a lot of pressure from Septed as well, because we talked about the fact that you can actually threaten an all-in if you start channeling the W as Galio.
グレイブスがめちゃくちゃガンクしてるけど、あんま効果的なようには思えないな。ファーム差がどんどん広がっている。スピリットのファームがどんどん伸びてますね。ショックウェーブあった今、レベル6だった。レベル5に見えたけど、レベル6だったか。見えてなかった。
Very slightly, but still going to be very close. As now the mana sustained with that last chapter in the Doran's ring, so be frequenting it back to the base as much as you might expect.
ミッドに動いてるの見えてますよ。なんでミッドに動いてるの？なんでミッドに動いてるの？
New build path for Abyssal Scepters, Spectre's Cowl,
アートチョコロックか。なるほど。
Of difference there. Spirit Visage from the mid lane, probably not necessary in this regard. So, even though you see the Spectre's Cowl and Big Band,
周辺のところ、フラッシュのアドバンテージ作ったことを生かして取り返そうとしてる。挟んでる。挟まれてることにもあるのが気づいた。下がりますね。ランボのアルティメットあるけど、でもアルティメット使って下がるよね。あ、下がりやがった。グローリーじゃないオラフは。
We're not able to maximize the damage. We can see Jewel and Ella both suffering underneath that turret at the moment. Just being able to push in as the Jin is kind of a mini victory in its own right. Everyone gets tilted.
お、通信がサポートアイテム先に強化してる。
Even more tilting though if you actually lost the blue buff to it. That's the most predictable ability of all time. So if you lose out to that one.
ドランズリング重ねるかなと思ったけど、黒重ねなかったな。もう完全に。そのステータスだけでジャングル、ウェーブクリアできるっていうのか。卑怯じゃない。トップレーン 32CS だ。違う、22CS だ。ああ、ヘルパー辛そう。もうちょっとアルティメットで。
Saved a lot of his health bar. Alright, looking for a flash, but realistically, Helper was never going to oblige him with that.
極通。通信としては連のアドバンテージを確実に取るっていう。まあもちろん実質2名差が持ってるからだけど、使ってないですね。一方でエラは動き回りたいっていう姿勢を見せてるけど、連のコントロール取れてないから動き回れるのかな。もう一回ゴッドガンクってこと？
Especially if Spirit and Kuro can't get early gold into them. Galio and Olaf do a lot of damage in the mid game to really do fall away. And in fact, the late game as well. Just an flash there.
どちらかが当たっていれば同時すぎたな。通信やっぱうまいよな、ああいうところでもな。よくかわしましたよね、今の。当たってたらもうそこだけでデッドだったからな。
You can turn it on the mid game, Achilles. We know this so clearly, even though it looks like there's low damage from the side of a Freak of Freaks. Two team fight wins and the game being strangled out is a possibility. So you have a bit of pause when you try and work out who a super quiet early game favors. Initial impression, Everate, but game's certainly not going to be out of touching distance for a Freak. Yeah. Right now, no real way of knowing who's going to be taking the lead. Everything just going to be very consistent throughout.
SN3 クレーマーとしてはまあクリティカルビルドに行くと思うんだけどな。これ脅威ビルドに行くのかな。あ、ミッドレーンはさすがに。 ゴリゴリ入ってってますね。これ、黒がボットに飛ぶっていう予定も一つ入ってるよな。オラフに対してアルティメットを使うっていう。押し気味にしてるし。だからマルナとしてもカバー入んなきゃいけない。で、そのプレッシャーしている間にランブルが制している。
One of those weird spots where actually having no local representation just meant they were super hyped to see everyone. I'd see Baker, I'd see Mythy.
まあ、オラフにとってゴーストは安いか。じわりじわりとちょっとマルナのファームは削られてってんだよな。あ、いい感じで飛ばせなかった。ヘルパー冷静に逃げますが、間に合わない。ダメでした。マーリン、指示夫人と活躍だな、マジで。レーン勝って、ジャングルのクリアして、ミッドにも顔出して、全部やってんじゃねえか。トップレーナーがやらなきゃいけない。あとテレポートでボットに介入するだけだ。アルティメットがないから、ちょっと介入しづらいか。でもさすがに、このプレッシャーはエグいので、かわせないですね。トップサイド側にマルランがいることがマーリンが把握したので、なんでここに触ると。マジでマーリンじゃねえか。
Something that Everett would have accepted when they ended up getting pushed in bot lane. The Thresh obviously not having the pushing power of a Karma, and Duel largely being on the back foot has meant that Afrika Freaks had to run a bot lane. Rumble was always going to push Gragas, and Galio at times will push Oriana. So from there, nice little advantages secured by the side of Afrika Freaks, and early in Infernal again with the high base damages on a lot of the abilities from Afrika.
ボジョタフ先に行く
Have to really
っていうの
second
はちょっ
guess
とない
which fights you choose in the early to mid game if you're ever right, because you can definitely be blown out by some of the abilities on the side of Afrika.
ああ、バンシー、ああ、なるほど。考えられなくはないか。まあでもちょっと、リスクを抑えるんだったらバンシーラッシュしてもいいけど。でも上位仮面持ってゴリゴリに行く可能性も高いけどな。どうするんだろうな。あれスピリットジャングルのレベル負けてる？なんでだ？あれ獲得ゴールド量も負けてる。あれなんでだ？あ、また。カウル買ってるんですけど、ヘルバーさん。
And again, this is the cadence they were looking for in game 1. Fiora getting solo kills on Shen, every other lane gets threatened.
あら、おしまいな。あ、おしまいですね。さすがに。CS アット15の情報がボットで、下のところに出てるけど。ゴールドアット15、6400。15なのかな ?10 なのかでちょっと迷ってんだけど、どっちがいいと思う？それ聞きたいんだよな。レーンフェーズの終わりを10分に置くか15分に置くかでちょっと迷ってるんですよね。
Down in game 1 in CS on Shen and getting the smart ults off was enough, but in game 2, this position is much worse.
There's no flash for Marn, very far forward. Should go down. Push forward. From here, from Koro jumps his way in, knocks up Helper. Mid Galio の強み出たわ。
Everett showing a lot of respect early, not fully committing for a kill, not knowing exactly when Galio would come in.
EU が15で NA が10だったんだ。逆じゃなかったかな。
Yeah, the box comes down here. Ella taking a bit of damage. That's going to be the route down in onto Duel. Trades a lot of damage back in onto Kramer. Now looking for Tucson as well. Go ahead, take that dark passage away from the cube. Tucson himself a bit healthier.
EU が確か15だった気がする。おお、それでもう、おしまい。うまくない？ゴリッと減る。あ、11仮面ですね。マジ？
wasn't the best, but this
ダメみたい
point
ですね。
severe problems for Everade because the item lead for this Rumble is going to spill over into other lanes. Already has soloed down.
入った。
First turret blood is in the bot
それは取んない
lane.
とね。
Catched in.
Yeah, the play coming through, and with the ignite thrown down, there's just no way for Kramer to keep himself alive, even with that heal. So he does fall. Now Kuro roaming his way in, dashes forward,
オ
looking
リア
for
ナは
Ella
今
lands
レーン
a
の
ton
ところ。
on He and Malron. Play comes through, getting a lot of damage to the hook.
一応
Ella is sitting inside that whirlwind. He goes down. Marin flashing forward, looking for a kill in onto Malron. Finds it. They'll follow up, take down Duel at the same time. And now it's just all on his lonesome with Kuro. Very healthy to pick up this turret aggro. Shockwave comes through, Helper flashing away, trying to keep himself alive, but the taunt comes down. He falls. And it's just going to be an absolute bloodbath. Blast Cone comes down. Septon able to finish off Tucson. Answers back a kill, but can he make it out of here alive? Looks like the answer is going to be yes. Afrika said, you know what?
うまいけどちょっとどうしようもないな。それ以上にマーリンがやばいことになってる。マーリンのスノーボールしたら終わりだ。5-0-1で。
This is what the game looks like. Marin deciding on his own on Rumble. His signature pick all career. I see a replay.
これで取れないんか。
Opened up by Kuro. They get a lot of damage in. The flashiest surprises flashes over the axe and Maron.
てか単純にやっぱオラフヘルスしか上げてねえからアーマーと MR 全然高くなくてタワーも痛えしオリアナダメージも痛えしグレイブスのダメージも痛えしって感じか。ビルド的に体力しか上がってないもんな。
Two items completed, has the Leandries with that Zonia's, another blasting quad in the inventory as well. So Marin is completely decked out. We'll see where he wants to take that blasting one. Could just see the Banshee's veil.
I think it will definitely be Void Staff. He skipped over Void Staff because he was snowballing so hard. You need Void Staff to be able to pressure the Gragas in a side lane, but you're right, we could see some crazy items from Rumble this game. If you're this far ahead, you throw in a Death Cap, you throw in whatever you want.
He's got 3 ways to go. Death Cap, Void Staff, Banshee's veil, so pretty limitless options at the moment there.
先にキャリー倒せればまあなんとかなると思うので、いかにこうセプティックとルールを潰せるかじゃないですかね。フリックスは。この CS はやばいな。今2000ゴールドとか3000ゴールドトップレーンで下がりそうだな。グローバルゴールドの3000ゴールド差これ全部マーリンだろ。
Will get rooted down. Another tether coming through. Gets into the dark passage in time, but Spirit's waiting for him. That's going to be the hero's entrance coming through from Kuro as he arrives. Pops him up. They take him down. Duel falls. Ella now just on the outside of that curtain call. Can he make it out with his life? That's going to be the whirlwind coming through on top of the root. He will fall off screen as Spirit finds him. Going low. Leandri's torment. Takes away Adam. Gets the shield back. For fear of that flame spirit. Body slam in. The collateral damage from downtown comes up with the kill. Can they make it out alive?
ギリギリ足りなかったか。
Shorting on Septon. Jukes back away from the deadly flourish. Will be able to walk his way out, but Afrika Freaks 3 members in the mid lane looking to pressure the turret.
どうしようもない。いやーマジでウィナーズ思った以上にいいんだけど、もうどうしようもねえわ。トップレーンの魔王がもう暴れ回ってるな。
He's not even unhappy to die. Maron trying to stand up, he's just gonna die.
Yeah, he's just gonna get taken out. Flash forward from Kramer, grenade plus that last shot comes through. The crit takes him down. They get the turret. In the meantime, Spirit taking out that Cloud Drake for a second stack.
マーリン落としてもなんともならないですね。フリックスの勝ち込みコンプが機能してるからな。
not convinced by them in game 1, but off the back of Marin getting the sort of advantage you expect on Fiora on the Rumble when he's blind picking at first pick.
いやー、ちょっとこの勝ち込みどうしようもないでしょう。あ、アダプティブヘルム買いましたね、ヘルパー。4000ゴールド差。待て。グローバルゴールドのさんところ6000ゴールドのうち4000ゴールドはマーリンとヘルパーなで作れて、残り2000ゴールドは。はあ。ミッドのビルド差もないしな。ADK のビルド差がちょっとあるぐらいだもんね。ヤングラもあんまさえない。差ないし。オールインって言うよ。それはオールインって言いますよ。丁寧に。やっぱミッドレーンにあのアルティメット持ったチャンピオンがいるっていうの、それだけでリスクテイクとしては、リスクカバー、リスクヘッジか。リスクヘッジとしてはすごく優秀だよね。LPL ってなぜかミッドレーンに短期なチャンピオンを置くの好きなんだよな。ミッド、ガリオも LPL 好きだったし。あとはミッドノーチも好きだったよね。
This is more so the gameplay that we expected coming into this series. Everett very much surprised us in game number 1. But here in game 2, a lot of
唯一マジでタンクでトップティアじゃないか。ガリオが。まあグラガスも一応、でもグラガスもファイターになるしな。あのランブルは誰が止めるんですか？みんなで止めます。ミッドサインはそうだったっけ
？But this is just already silly scenes where the items on the Rumble are too damn much. All right, well, Dark Passage there to take him out to safety. So Duel, even with that Deadly Flourish, locking him in, makes it out. Still, so much respect has to be shown. And yeah, like you said, Adaptive Helm completed here.
視界のコントロールでもグッと押し込んでますね。常にね。近づけない。そう。アダプティブヘルムの効果が出てる時って、ああいうなんか妙な紫のシールドがチャッチャ出るんですよね。あれが出てると、アダプティブヘルム効果出てますよっていうんですけど、実際出てたな、結構ダメージは。減ってたような気がしないでもない。ビヨーン。実際リスク低い。体力伸ばしておけば、ガリオのアルティメットによるダメージ低減で、あれがエアタイマーの代わりになるか、すげえ効率いいな。勝ち込みコンプにもパースパイブですね。試合時間が伸びてくると割ときついっちゃきついんだよな、オリックス、この構成。レイトは、まあレイトになってもここはどうしようもねえか。アダプティブヘルム効果あんのにゴリゴリに体力削れてる。あららら。どうしようもねえわ、ここが。レイトになってもフリックス勝つな。マジでセプティットがうまいなぁ。安定してんな。バミ買ってる。バミかー。もうアビサル買うしかねえんじゃねえかって感じがあるんだけど。受けるダメージ 15% カットだから、どうなんだろう。これだけダメージ量が大きいと体力伸ばした方がいいのかな、それとも今上げた方がいいのかな、硬いでた方がいいのかな。
you just lose the minimum. You know, it's
エヴァンゲリオンごっ
here,
こ。
but you, the moment you walk out, you see what happens.
Well, Deadly Flourish comes through, not quite going to get the root down in onto Ella. Shockwave thrown out, Tucson goes low, but flashes away from it in
頑張ってん
time.
だけどな、ウィナーズ。
Just to make sure that everybody
でも
is safe
な
on his team.
まだそこにマーリンが参加してないんだよな。
Support his
マーリン
squad
が
as
参
they
加した
push
途端に終わると
forward
思うん
this
だけ
tier
ど。
2 turret at the top.
参加させる前にあの魔王を潰さなあかん。潰さなあかん。
Does lock down
潰せるか。
at least for the moment, but still very tanky in on the Galio. Everybody turning through, Redemption comes through.
めっちゃ回復してる。あれなんでそんな回復した
And it's like nothing ever even happened.
Full tank Galio stories you get right there, Achilles. But coming back to your question, what to do when you're this far behind? Work out what your comp has. There's certain break even and item timings where my comp has this when we hit these items. Those sort of things are out the window. You look down Everate, what do they have? Insane wave clear, AD and
あ、ビサージュか。
magic
なる
damage
ほど。
and physical damage
びっ
wave
くりした。
clear on 4 members means they have stole. Late game team fights for them
ビサージュ、ヒール、リデンプションであんなに回復するか。
is what you want.
See Spirit not even feeling the pressure to pop the Ragnarok this time around as the hook comes down. He's just perfectly fine to eat that one out. He has been very tanky now.
よっとった
Though Marn maybe overstepping his boundaries, has that
魔王
Sonia's
シ
coming
ス
through and he's completely surrounded.
勇者をセプ
Time
ティッド
to
です
go
かね。
down. Septed coming up with that shutdown gold here over to the Oriana. So a
おい、
nice
決めきれねえな。っていうか、
turnover here for Everate. Let's see if they can get more. TP's going to be coming through from Kuro.
でも追い続ける。セプティッドはアルティメットないけど、分断してるっちゃ分断してる。
Anything else looks like the answer is going to be no. Now Ella getting rooted down. Afrika, do they want to engage onto this one? The box comes down, playing in onto Spirit. Into the death sentence, Ragnarok gets popped, and now he's charging forward straight into the face of Everate. Throws out
これ、バロンがやらせないためか。ラッシュするしかないのか。でもするにしても、これ、周りの成功と間に合うよな。ミッドのファスターか。
Afrika kind of have to be a 5-man death ball to do damage. We are getting to the point where some of their base values will start to fall away. So smart not to engage.
取れない。
While the man with all the gold
タンクのくせにウェーブクリアを持っているガリオのせいで取れない。
seconds away for him.
このままマーリンを3回ピックアップしたら、あれテレポート使っちゃうのボットレーンに。まあもちろんバロンはいけないけど、ウィナーズ。
Back to game 1, a lot of individual mistakes from Afrika Freaks was kind of the story in that match. So keep doing what you're dodoing. Don't necessarily
さっきのようなミスをフリークスが3回続けたらウィナーズ勝てそう。6000ゴールド差って言ってるけど、これ実質2000ゴールド差だからな。いや、まあ、そういうわけでもないか。6000ゴールドのほどの差はないんだよな。他の4名のところで。
Quite the flame horizon going for him at the moment.
And you know what? Kuro has quite the thorn mail completed on his side. Doesn't take any damage at all.
Nope.
Not even a little bit.
I just want to see the Medjai's now, so he has some damage to offer up.
9 stacks. I mean, we're getting close. He's certainly not going to be dying anytime soon. If he is, he's
帽子買った後バンシーなのかな。先にバンシーでもいいような気もするんだが、まあ帽子か。ちょっとマーリンのアルティメットが集団戦で使えてないんですよ、ずっとね。だから他の4人のところでアドが取れないんだよな。ヘルパー頑張って死なないようにしている。でもマーリンが最大のコントロール取ってますよね。取ってますね。押し切った。
Knows that he's getting pinched on here. That's going to be the ghost coming through. Ragnarok there from Spirit, so not going to get locked down by the Chain of Corruption. Slow pop off the right. Just doing damage to who? Go ahead and kite back, and yeah, Balrog's trying to chip away Kuro, but it really doesn't look like anything is going on with it.
そこは行かないと、グラガスのアルティメットで2人を捕まえられるかどうか。
Balrog's actually just losing HP there from that Thorn Mail. Goes down to about half HP. Taunt comes down, sent it down to half. Call shots just being fired off on the sidelines. Kuro, first one to fall in the fight. They actually find the kill onto him, and Ella able to tank up in the front line. So
反転でもランブル、あ、でもオラフのアルティメットないし。ランブルのアルティメットでどうにかなるのか。フラッシュとヒール使わせた。てかよく見えてたな、そこに行ってたら。これでセーフティーと体力がないアルティメットあるけど。
Might wonder why the heal came through. No,
Oh
I'll
dear.
hold that.
Helper walking forward, trying to get some vision down around the pit. Goes low, dark passage yet again there from Ella, constantly just bailing out his teammates. Gets him to safety. We'll have to go back to the base, and Helper does not have a TP, but it looks like Freaka quite interested in rushing down the Baron.
Just a little bit of breathing room, but no more than that.
でもなんかうまいこと勝ち込めないんだよな。
It's only current health damage on the Leandris. Was the death by a touch might have been enough damage to take him down. So still had to put the heal even after he'd flashed over the equalizer. Doesn't mean no flash Orianna in the next fight. So is someone who can be preyed upon.
ね、スレッシュがうまい、本当にエラが
Probably a little bit later because the game is slowed down.
何度となく
from
作っ
Marin,
て
but
る。
those equalizers, damn, do they hurt.
I mean, that's 4 items to 2. Helper has Adaptive Helm, and a Nerf Sunfire came to his name.
Again, he's a cask. He's really only a cask. He'll die in AoE.
マリナルとメ
Doesn't
タ上が
really
って
do
る。
anything else, but if the cask
帽子は完
interrupts
成して
his
る。
Jhin ultimate, then
あとは狭いところでエンゲージするだけ。まあここバロンのところで勝負でしょう。リクス。取らないとね。この状況を作ったんだから、ここはもう行かないと。来ましたね。見えてないですね。見えてないですね。いけない。ランブルが怖すぎていけない。あ、取った。セプティッドやばすぎる。マジか、なんかそうなりそうな感じはしたけど、そうなったかマジで。そういう風な感じをした。
Beautiful stuff from Septed, and what felt like it'll be a game ground out by a Freaka. Reward is here for Everett. We said, hold on to it, play defensive, just wave clear, don't look for any emergency engagements. We get to see the replay. Let's see if any spot vision was there. For half a second, he saw 2,000 HP.
He just tosses it and does
he
it.
sees nothing. Explosive cast
500
and
スマイト打ててねえんじゃん。
the Orianna ultimate.
500だったじゃん。
Seeing it at 2,000 HP and knowing they would
左
continue
上
to burn was a
いや
decision made for Everett.
スマイトのダメージよりもオリアナのアルティメットの方、アルティメット W の方がダメージ出てたのかなと思ったけど、いえいえいえ、そういうわけじゃなかった。
Beautiful shockwave over the wall. The blind steal on the Baron, always the best ones. Now that's going to be the hook down in onto Koro. The box comes through, but still so very tanky is the Galio. Can't quite finish him off, but this should be the opening here for the Tier 1 turret. The first turret of the game for Everett in 33 minutes. Now Malron.
いや、グラガスのルートを食らってでもスマイトの範囲内であれば特に問題ないし。あー、デウルはよう当てた、そこアルティメット。てかそこなんでアルティメット食らった。 おー、マーリン試合に入れず。
And all the calamities from Afrika have added up to only a 3,000 gold in what felt like a one game where the tempo was. Everett brute forcing through mid lane. It's going to be a route down there from the deadly flourish, but still just wailing away at this turret as Everett. They knock this down, second tower for them, and closing on that gold deficit that they were in, 58.9 now to 56.6. Everett clawing their way back in. And we know what this means. We talked about it in Champion Select. The no damage potential from Afrika was always a possibility, but it didn't even feel like a potential eventuality, Achilles. How far ahead Afrika freaks were. But Afrika makes mistakes. We saw them in game 1. Here Marin goes for a walk. No vision anywhere. Fail flashes and dies at the end of this fight. This is what happens when Afrika freaks are given a bit of a leash. They can hang themselves with these ropes, and it feels like we've gotten there. Because how many times did you feel like you could run this game and have Everett win it? Because it felt like it was 1 out of 10 with how far ahead Afrika and specifically Marin was at that point in the game. Now, you throw that all out and you start using words that really wouldn't be appropriate. If Afrika wins this game, do you talk about the scaling advantage for Everett? Do you talk about the fact
そう、ダークスターの食見づらいと思う。だから使ってるんだと思うんだけど。
and the fact that they played around their win conditions in the mid game, but then they made mistake after mistake, and now these points that again would be junk points in a different cast are very relevant because you look at Kuro and you're like, man, he's tanky, but you're like, man, he does no damage at all.
Tier 1 goes down. Cloud Drake second one here for
これトップの差っていうところまだあるよね。まだ5000ゴールド差あるの、トップレーンの。 にもかかわらず、差が1000ゴールドしかないってことは、他の4名のところでエヴァウェイトには勝ってんだよな。ミッドレーン2000ゴールド差あんじゃん。ジャングラー1000ゴールド勝ってる。AD キャリーも1000ゴールド勝ってる。
No one's going to be smiling from the Afrika Freaks camp. We've seen so often when these kind of, I guess you call them yucky games, dirty games, whatever you want to call them, where you win because you started well, then you made a lot of mistakes, then you finally get over the line. Very often
セプティッドは LCK で出たことないと思う。チャレンジャーシーズンから出てきたんじゃないか。
1,000 gold is insane to say, but that's all Afrika Freaks had to show for themselves, apart from those drinks.
And Everrain just going to keep sweeping through, clearing out these turrets where they can.
That equalizes.
Yeah. We'll go
ミニオンが届かない。
We'll go ahead and clear that out. The majority of the wave, but still, turret being as low as it is means that Everrain go ahead and they pick that one up for themselves.
Also, when you see an equalizer used like that from a Fed,
エヴァウェイトミナーズのコーチと、ヘッドコーチとコーチがスポーンとアルビンゴっていうところで、セブンセブンの関係者、元関係者。
Not quite having the waves here. Go ahead and just kite back up into the jungle.
You know what I'm hyped about, Achilles? On the one hand, it's Everrain, but let's get to the more interesting point. In 2 days, we have seen 2 mid laners start to make their
陣がようやくいいできたけどな。
Mid lane, apart from Faker, has always been kind of one of the sore spots of LCK. Crown finally got there to join him in many ways, but apart from that, Horn hasn't necessarily reached the levels we'd expect. First BDDSA, now Scepter today. The mid lane talent pool.
昔はマフィアグレイブスのオートアタックが速いってなったよ。あとは、なんだっけ。ちょっと高いスキンのブラッド、オートアタックがやりやすいみたいな。
Picking 5 mid laners to really feel good about in Korea was actually pretty hard to do in spring season and especially in previous years. But if Scepted and BDD can build off,
そう、TF も見にくいカードだった。てか、あれを使っちゃいけなくなったと思う、確か途中から。そう、アンダーワールドか。
Well, let's not talk about Kuro for now, but he's had a good game, let's be fair.
He died the one time.
He's really tanky. He's got Flame Horizon almost though somehow.
Yep.
そう、プロジェクトアッシュもありましたね。一番良かったのはプロジェクトアッシュだな、俺の中では。マジで、アルティメットとオークの差が全くなかったっていう。ゴリゴリにそろそろダメージは出るはずですが。ちょっと、これはウィナーズ、あ、アルティメット使わされた。いきそう。
Probably will be Banshee just because one of the few AP items that gives 10% CDR. So you get Banshee, you have 30, and then Blue Buff will bring you up to 40.
えあ、ちゃんとカバーしてるデブじゃねえや、ヘラ。びっくりした。面白いのが、マルランがドミニク・リガード買ってることなんだよな。とてもうまいですね。マジでセプティッドすごいな。ちょっと危険なタディシのようにも見えたけど。サイドレーンのコントロールはボットレーンプッシュウェーブにできてるな、ウィナーズ。となると、ミッドドップのところで二宮続けたい。ランブルのアルティメットとにもちょっと決め手にかける。足は修正されたはず。結構ワンパッチぐらいで修正された。あ、セプティッドブルーバフいったところが見えてる。バレてますね。フリークスはここ取りに行くしかない。セプティッド間に合った。もう集団戦長。カットした。しかしランブルのダメージが全然入ってない。またかい。ダメだな。もうスピリット完全に飲まれてる。ティルトしてますね。これはちょっと。ランブルのアルティメット使った後だし。
We talked about him being a moving ward with his build. He actually was able to do that and got the HP value on the Baron. They didn't have a ward. Helper did that job, and Malrang did the rest.
Absolutely gorgeous, but now the curtain call coming through here, trying to snipe out Septic, but gets interrupted immediately by Kramer.
マーリンがダメージ参加できないんだよな。となると、
front line, even with the gargoyle stone plate, still goes very low. Has to use that hero's entrance just to get himself out to safety.
TP からエンゲージを警戒して下がるだろうね。
Go spend this gold, maybe get ready for this Elder Dragon buy. It's likely going to be coming in about 20 seconds, but he has TP. Used here by Kuro, wrapping around the sidelines. Balrog going low, the box gets dropped. The helper just sitting in the front, trying to body block for the rest of his team, but he just gets chewed out immediately. And he will fall. Kuro comes up with a kill, and the rest of Ever8 still trying to make it out safely. Sideline Spirit dashing forward, has the Ghost and Ragnarok up. Equalizer comes down, the shockwave comes through, and it just rips right through Kramer.
セプティッド生きるか。生きた、生きた。あー、すげえな。すごいな。今のフリックス勝ち込むしかなかったもんな。ボットにテレポートするでしょ、ヘルパー。使ってしたから。マジか。すごいな。すごいしかさっきから言ってねえな。
Intense words. They want to end the game.
周りにゾニア使えばよかったんだよ。てかもうチーム全体でティルトしてると思うフリックス。明らかにパフォーマンスが落ちてる。20分までと比べると。
But Ever8, that steal from Balrog just swings them into a lead.
And crazily, even Helper can feel like he had one good moment this game because he was smart enough to actually check in on the Baron HP and get information that Ever8 could never get. They had the control ward down. It was a really good Baron force by Afrika. They should feel good about that. It was the right decision at the right time. But a steal comes through. And cruelly, it'll feel like they made a big mistake.
Yeah, the reset's there, but even so, Spirit can't get there in time to try to get the Smite Steal away. Elder Dragon taken by Ever8, denying that 4-stack buff over to the Afrika Freaks, which could very well have been enough to get them back into a winning position in this game.
And now, you know, we're at that point, 42 minutes in, where you're like, what does a team fight look like that Afrika Freaks wins? You got Kramer on the Jhin with some good items, but
you need a massive whiff on a shockwave, I feel.
You definitely need to catch Septed. If Septed dies first, maybe they can win a fight, but Marin is really their only consistent damage. It's not Trinity False all up, it's just a tank all up, which again is expected, only Peanut ballsy enough to go.
周りに生かすための動きっていうのが作れなかった。テレポートからのエンゲージ、押し込んで、タワー下に押し込んでから裏に、まあちょっと横気味に、周りがテレポートしてアルティメットで一気に決めるみたいなシーンが一度もないんだよな。
Cinderhawk will have to be a last item, almost like a death cap for health, I guess, in this case. But yeah, it feels like either Marin gets these fights done, or there just isn't really other tools.
勝ち込めてねえんだよな、セプティッドとゲームに対して。
Here we go, Helper lonesome in the mid lane, not joining in with the squad yet. There's still plenty of wave clear here from Afrika Freaks.
あ、勝ち込んだ。もう遅い気がする。いや、ランブルなると全然ダメだな。届いてない。届いてない。
Comes through from the deadly flourish in on Deceptive, but still is not being targeted out, and that's going to be Kuro going down first and foremost at the start of the fight. Call opened up by Kramer very safely in the back line, firing away, gets a decent hit in onto Ella, but still is just chunking him down to around 50% HP. They are still fine to posture forward with this Elder Dragon buff because there's so much of a draw in the mid lane from these super creeps.
And it was a perfect engage, but the perfect engage at 25 minutes is not the perfect engage at 45.
真正面から行ってもしょうがないんですよね。いや、まあオラフだったら真正面から行っても届く可能性はあるんだけど。
Of Ever8 winners, and even when Afrika lines it up perfectly with Septed hula hooping on the ultimate, it doesn't matter.
Now they're pushing in, looking for a second inhibitor. Focusing in onto the turret, duel goes down. Go ahead, fire away at this one, they find it. Helper dashes forward, trying to harass Marin, making sure that he can't push forward, trying to get that massive flame spitter down.
陣も当たればダメージめっちゃ出るんだが、W だけでも、W 一発でもあれだけ出るかな。さすがにちょっときついですね。ストレート負けありそう。
We might just be into this one for the long haul. 45 minutes on the clock. Inhibitor not able to be taken out in the top side of the map. Ever8, they're going to play this one out as
いや、ダメージは出るはずなんだよな、この陣の装備だったら、さすがに。 まあ、柔らかい対象に当てるっていうのがまあ重要ですけど、基本的にスレッシュもサポートビルダーなので、そこそこダメージ取るはずだし、ダメージが全く取らないのクラガスだけでしょ。他の対象に対して当てられることができればいいんだけど。あ、本当はハリケーン持ってる。え、ハリケーンではなくない？なんでハリケーンなのえ、それだったら渋でよくない？in the hands of Everate at the moment. That Baron gets ready to spawn in 45 seconds. If they could find a pick beforehand, that would pretty much guarantee it. It would take a miraculous steal from the side of a Freak of Freaks to get themselves back in. アーデントセンサー、オラフかな
Dark passage from Thresh to get off an equalizer, for example. It would require Everate making a significant mistake. In terms of pathing, honestly, to be alone for the amount of time it takes Afrika to delete one member. And if you see Olaf diving in, each with the knock up from the Galio and getting a 4-5-man queue, it's just no damage behind that to actually get kills. So it's not unwinnable for Afrika, but if it's played perfectly by Everate, it should be unwinnable.
This is really aggressive here from Marin. Goes over the wall with a blast cone.
マジでさっきからエラが、あ、でも体力削った。グレーブさん体力削った。グレーブさん体力削った。グライダーはない。グレーブさんリコールできてる。
Camps are down, he has no lifesteal items, just now buying a Vamp Scepter. So, one camp was enough, not enough.
ただ一人2万ゴールドに到達している。あ、そういうわけでもなかった。てか、テプティって言ったらデールがもう追いついてるやんけ。マーリンのゴールドに対して。完全に。てかもう、フルビルだもんな。そりゃそうか。グレーブスさんがバロンやってませんかランブルのアルティメット上がってない。いやー、ガードボイルストーンプレート勝った。バロンがまだ起きてる。前後分でした。それで、グラガス取りたいけど取れない。
Out the safety. Now the curtain call opened up, sniping out onto Ella. Last shot might just take him out. Duel's gonna have to try to eat this one. 900 on the hit, flashes away, trying to get the lifesteal off the minions. Will pop himself back up, but Koro dashes toward the hook from Ella. Not going to connect. That's gonna be the first.
これは決まったな。完全前後分断したな。勝ち込んだ。ようやく勝ち込めた。あー、アルティメットも悲しいことになった。あー、よかったですね、フリックス。Three members take it out, make that 4 as Ella falls, and it's just Malrung all on his lonesome on the backside of the pit. But it seems like Afrika don't even want to go for the Baron right now. They might just have to set their sights on the inhibitor. お前らバロン取っときやじゃない。
The Baron damage is pretty low from the side of Afrika Freaks, but they played that fight out about as well as possible. For once, Everate were not in a situation for Scepter to be the general and put the ball on a frontliner. Helper was separated from the rest of his team. And they may not be able to end the game fast enough here, but damn, they're going to try and get at least a couple of inhibitors. Yeah, it's going to be 24 seconds here on the They're going to try for this though, Achilleos. They're going to try their damn this. The minion wave now coming through. Balrog, a little wave clear he offers up is going to have to be rather impactful because he get a whole lot done here. Now they're in onto the Nexus turret. Some freaking freaks, they might have just done this. 50-minute death timers might be enough, yeah. Looks like they're going to do it. Insane turnaround. The one fight decided the game. Such a back and forth. 2 Baron seals for Everate winners, but despite it all, Afrika, they find the one perfect fight for themselves, nearly get the ace, close out the game. They're going to take us to game number 3. How can there be any more turns of emotion in a single game than what we saw in game 2 of this series? Afrika, elation at this point, but will soon be frustration over how they mismanaged their early advantage. Everate thought they would have done the second Baron, would be the final dagger into the heart of the Afrika Freaks, but at 50 minutes, you forget how long the death timers are. 4 members going down, even a Graves away because not enough, and you can see Malrung and the rest of Everate look stumped because they thought this was going to be a debut 2-0, and instead, it's going to be a 3rd game.
All right, well, taking him the distance is a freak of freaks. Don't want to go down without a fight. Don't want to,
まあ、
get
ようやく
on their first
最後の集団戦の
LCK. So miraculously call their way back in despite having such a strong lead for 80% of that game.
And team fighting's never really been one of their strong suits, but they played that last fight super well. Helper alone couldn't peel back. The Orianna ball couldn't go onto the priority targets, and in the end, a freaker out team fought them.
Well, really nicely done by them.